Hello, 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 everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital, non-existent faces in the chat. Welcome to this very, very special Shoot Your One-Shot session, a Cosmic Convergence. I'm going to be your GM and creative producer for tonight. My name is Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she, and you're watching this very special Shoot Your One-Shot session right here on Transplanar RPGs. I hate you, Dare, for doing that. You always get me every time. You make me think you're frozen. Right here on Transplanar RPGs channel, which is, of course, an all-transgender, POC-led, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, original, homebrew, non-colonial, anti-orientalist D&D show. But that's enough about Transplanar and myself right off the dome. I'm going to pass along introductions up and over to the lovely Dare.
Hi, I'm not frozen anymore. Hi, my name is Dare, pronouns she, they, they. I'm playing gentle today and always, so pronouns they, them, your regular Triton monk. You can find me on the internet at Dare to Dream RPG, D-A-R-E, the number 2, D-R-E-A-M RPG. I'm just going to throw it over to Lynn.
Hey everyone, I'm Lynn. She, they, Gremlin art pretty much everywhere, do art and stuff. And then I am playing for tonight Malka, the half-elf warlock, she, they as well.
And let's go over to Akemi.
Hi, that's me. I'm Akemi. Pronouns she, they. Today I am playing Yuki, pronouns she, they. And you can find me over at Ninja Penguin AM, wherever I exist on the internet. Off to Amihan. I don't know which direction that is.
Hi, I'm Amihan. Pronouns are he, they. You can find me at The Rose Cleric anywhere on the internet. I'm an artist, cosplayer, TTRPG, player, performer, this, that, and the third. And I'm going to pass it on back to Connie.
Yes, here I am. Oh, that was the exact opposite direction.
The opposite, yeah.
There I am to you. But you took a swing and you missed, but we love you for that. So, hi everyone. Violence upon your houses. So if you're tuning into this, thank you so much. You are watching the 5th version of Shoot Your One Shot, the 5th episode, the Cosmic Convergence. What is Shoot Your One Shot? Well, thank you for asking, dear one. It is a series of 7 one-shots set in Andake with a rotating cast of guests who all use the hashtag BIMPOC Shoot Your Shot at Transplanar RPG this past year. And this event hosts over 30 incredible players in our very own original homebrew world, and we are so glad that all of you are joining us. As a reminder, our next game is this coming Thursday. That's October 20th at the same time, same place, right here on Transplanar RPG on Twitch at 7:30 p.m. US Eastern Time with Stars Over Blackspire featuring Sitlali's backstory in the Court of Ravens. Ooh, but that is for later, and right now is for right now. Speaking of right now, here are some ways right now that you can help support the stream and help get these incredible players of color paid for their incredible performance work. So 100% of all tips raised tonight and for the entirety of Shoot Your One Shot will go toward paying and supporting all 30 plus of the incredible BIMPOC involved in Shoot Your One Shot. We do have incentives too, so if you donate $25 or more, you can grant a PC of your choice inspiration, and $50 or more donations will grant a PC of your choice an autocrit, and you can also give this autocrit to me if you're feeling particularly evil. You can give it to me, GM Connie. I want my TPK. I want to wipe out all these suckers off the face of the planet. So you can use !donate for a full list of these incentives as well as a donation link. That's it in terms of housekeeping. All we got to do now is get into content warnings before we shepherd in the episode itself. So, content warnings for this particular episode, A Cosmic Convergence, are fantasy violence, monsters and monstrosity, apocalypse, trauma, complex and complicated relationships, romance, references to sexual entanglement, death and killing, experimentation, corruption, and existentialism. So use !CW for a full list of these content warnings at any time. With that out of the way, let's begin. On the loamy banks of the Black Tongue, the once bustling harbor town of green open water now sits dead. A water-logged ghost still clinging to its own drowned corpse. Spanning the twin shores is a wooden bridge, its undercarriage slick with moss and algae. Several of its salt-cracked railings are scorched black. The smell of, what is that? Crimson lightning still sparking in the listless gray air. And upon the river-split shores, the buildings sag like sacks of grave dirt left to rot in summer rain. Slashing through the village from east to west, the black tongue pours into the cold, humid waters of the Sigourney Sea, and the southern horizon is a glimmering wet snake. The bloated banks of green open water house no ships, no boats, no canoes, no voyagers or travelers, no sailors or sellswords, not a single mortal soul. But as for immortal souls, well, the place is teeming with it. Emissaries of every shape and size, emissaries of every god and domain, emissaries of good and evil and chaos and law and every other modulation of ethics populates every single square pebble of green open water. Their forms are shimmering and static, bestial and skeletal, fluid and hot. Some have the calm, placid faces of cows. Others look like birds. Still others look like rotund turnips, plucked from the ground, given legs, and left to sprint and waddle all over the place. Some emissaries are the size of marbles, floating from ear to ear like swamp moats. Others are the size of people, with smiling visages and long, flowing hair, and still others are the size of ox carts and towers, lumbering along on stick-shaped limbs bristling with fur. We see angels of shadow, devils with chittering scales, demons with gnashing gums, elementals of pure light, fae bedazzled by gems, plants with way too many fingers to count, oozes and undead, aberrations and beasts, monstrosities and constructs. Here, in green open water, the shattered remnants of the weave thrum with nigh-forgotten power, the echoes of magic's former glory stirring in the wake of these divine servants. Here, the weave strains against its own bridle, foaming in the air like sweat off the hide of a hot horse. Also foaming in the air is the bitter, tangy, syrupy smell of anticipation. On the north bank, hanging brightly in the weave, are sensations of faith, optimism, trust, conviction. The emissaries on the north bank look chipper, friendly, their shaking paws, rubbing necks together, intertwining tails and tongues and bones. And on the south bank, occluding the weave like shadows at the bottom of a river, are feelings of gloom, bitterness, distress, melancholy. The emissaries there are seething, lonely, hissing at passers-by, pulling in their robes, their tresses, their tails, their wings. And across these two banks of green open water, words in radiant dialects fly across the black tongue. Phrases in celestial, infernal, abyssal, primordial, deep speech, and more. Words that all branch and coalesce toward the same understanding. The tooth and the tongue. The yes and the no. The great debate and the cosmic convergence. And so it is, right here, right now, in a harbor village, split by a babbling river, populated only so far by emissaries, that we find the four of you mortals. Starting with Tadana. Tadana, tell us, what do you look like? And what are you doing in green open water?
Well, Tadana, the first thing you would notice about them is that when he would approach you, she has vibrant teal and orange wings that are folded over her eyes. at this very moment. There are teal-colored markings that look similar to cheetah markings that are running up their arms, and their hands are teal-colored as well, and they have claws that match. They are what some could assume to be a satyr of some sort. They do have hoofed feet and fur reaching up to their midsection. Also a mixture of orange and teal. And they wear a cream-colored pañuelo, which is a laced shawl that hangs just off the shoulders. The shawl sort of extends into a cloak where there appears to be matching eye patterns just stretched and seeming to be like laced into the fabric and having a sort of like a shimmer to them that were like, if you just take a glance, you'd think that they were looking at you. But as soon as you make eye contact, it's just completely still. And then they're wearing a layered dress underneath the cloak, and they are also using a closed lace umbrella as a walking aid to guide them around. And they stand around 5'7", average, and they are just observing their surroundings in a very nervous demeanor. They are here because one of the emissaries has been, I guess, clawing for their attention. They have called them here to Green Open Water because they need their, I guess you could say, they need Tadana as a source of energy, in a way. That's a beacon of some sort.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. So Tadana, why don't you tell me, which of the emissaries has been calling you here? Is it the tooth on the northern shore brimming with light and optimism, or is it the tongue on the southern shore seething with shadow?
It is the tongue that calls them.
All right. So I think we find you on the southern shore here, right? And there are just emissaries everywhere. You see these little like turnip guys like in a line. They're just going, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And they like push past your legs. And then you also see like a huge lumbering emissary, like the size of a house with like a body of an elephant, fingers instead of hooves, like just crawling forward on knuckles and nails, and like the face of a very somber, sad looking mule. And it doesn't have a neck. The face is just in the body of the big, like, gray elephant hide, and it lumbers along. And there's just so many spirits and emissaries and all kinds of monsters and beasts teeming all around you. How are you comporting yourself through the rabble?
Yes. So as all these emissaries are just gathering around and passing by, they find themselves overwhelmed. They've never ever been quite in this position before. They've certainly had like maybe at most maybe 3 different emissaries come around and revolve around Tadana's presence, but now there's so many sights and smells and feelings that they're getting being around all these different emissaries. And so to help themselves manage these feelings, they have their wings covering their eyes, and they are using their pañuelo, their cloak, to see, as opposed to their eyes.
Yeah, so the eyes on your cloak, I think, their irises are flicking in every direction, trying to take in from all sides this like teeming rabble, this chorus of voices speaking in innumerable, radiant, divine tongues. And I think you're a little overwhelmed, right? You're like in the middle of like a Times Square rush, and you have so many eyes, and they're all looking at everything else, and it's kind of like overstimulating, right? And I think that's when you hear a voice kind of cutting through the rabble, a kind of hissing voice that sounds like molten molten gold poured over stakes at the bottom of a hidden pit. And the voice addresses you, and you hear it go, "Mortal. Fascinating. And what, might I ask, are you doing here?" And the eyes on your cloak, I think like half of them fix on the source of the voice as they swivel to find it. And you see sort of like weaving with this kind of wiry, tall, but yet limber gait toward you, a Medusa, an emissary of Sen. She is kind of like knobbled and tall like a winter tree. And she has this like hair of crimson snakes like red ivy growing from her scalp. And each snake looks a little different, right? Like they each have a distinct personality and they're looking in every direction like your eyes. And most of them are fixed on you. And a pair of these thick ivory boar's tusks juts from her lower lips. And the backs of her hands, as she sort of twines them, elegantly making her way through the crowd, are bronze. What do you do?
I guess Tadana sort of follows the eyes, or attempts to. It's like they look at all, their head moves like, oh, there's multiple snakes here. Yes, okay. And she hears the question, and then she gives a little smirk and goes, well, I could ask you the same thing. I could ask any of them, but I don't believe. And they seem very, again, nervous. They're still very overstimulated. They're trying to manage their demeanor as best as possible. They're keeping their eyes covered, and they take another deep breath and they go, I am here for the tongue.
Ah, the tongue. Well, it is quite fascinating that our discussions have drawn mortal eyes. And you have so many mortal eyes, don't you? And yet they seem to cover something very, very interesting indeed. And you see all of the eyes and all of these crimson snakes all fixing on your covered face, your teal and orange wings fluttering over your own visage as like a shield. But there's something about the gaze in this Medusa's eyes that seems to almost be like boring past this like physical visage, trying to look deeper, look soul-wise.
So they take a step back and they say, mind the distance between us.
Distance. Distance. Oh, you mortals are so curious. Your lives on the now are so short, and yet you carry yourselves with all the ember of Galtenger's own flame. Is there not something amiss within you? Tadana. And they say your name, even though you have not introduced yourself or revealed it at all in any way.
I think at this, let's see. Tadana will like wince, but like it's only that part of their face that they can see, of course. And their wings are practically glued to their face right now. And they go, I do not think that is any of your concern here.
Is it not? But you're here. And as this person speaks, this emissary says that thing that is amiss within your soul that they pointed out, I think it aches, right? And it kind of almost like cracks open, like the surface of an eggshell. And you feel this emissary in front of you like you have felt ever since the vanishing. You feel their emotions, I think, start to flood and eke into yours like shadow running to fill the space of absconding light. And you feel coldness, you feel bitterness, you feel cunning, and you feel courage, and you feel fear. So much fear, liquid terror like a knife running its pointed edge down your spine. And I think on that sensation of fear trilling down your back, even kind of like against your knowledge, maybe like you feel some of the feathers of your wings like ripple, like in response to that. And like on the rippling of teal and orange, I think we flash across the rest of Green Open Water to find another mortal in the emissary's midst. Mauka, why don't you tell me, what do you look like and what are you doing here in this harbor town?
When you first see Malka, you see what you think is a shadow, or maybe the shadow of a priestess of the Raven Queen. But when you look closer, you would see a half-elf, no older than early 20s, draped in the Raven Queen's priestess clothing, but darker, like it was dipped in ink. Her hair, that similar black darkness shadow with a streak of white. And her most defining feature, probably her eyes, or like a shark's, all black, moves with. There is no wasted movement. There is not even, if you look closely, breathing. And I am here to represent my master here, the Resplendent Shadow. Make deals, new members of our family, and maybe convince some of the emissaries to join us. What they want to do.
Okay, so I have to ask you, Malka, the name of your master, let's say, the patron whom you serve now, in the absence of, well, everything, did you say they call themselves the Resplendent Shadow? Or is that just
Shadow? Yes.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay.
I know them as.
Okay, sounds good. I think you call them that, or rather they've introduced that to you as one of several monikers. You get the sense like they have multiple titles. This is just one that they've deigned to grace your ears with. They call themselves that to you because they do respond. They speak. They are a shadow. You have only ever communed with them as like these oblong panes of darkness against the floor, up against a ceiling, right? When you try to call to them, when you try to commune with them. And they respond always in the same way to announce their presence, a whistle. It sounds very close at first, like it's someone whistling in your ear, and then it grows farther and farther and farther away, like it's on the other edge of a field, on the other side of a world, and that's when you know they're right behind you, is when the whistle is quiet. And the Resplendent Shadow, I think, has beseeched you, come here, specifically, I think, to investigate the tooth, not the tongue. And the tooth, of course, you know, as you arrive in Green Open Water, as you arrived on its salt-washed banks, on its weave thrumming with energy from emissaries swarming its shores, is a governor of the North Shore. That shore that brims with light, optimism, a kind of hope, like a bird soaring through the sky, even though you're dripping in shadow yourself. So, Mauka, how do you weave your way, I think, through the crowd, and how are you trying to tackle your goal?
Malka remembers, I remember what it was like to be this optimistic, this happy, and just bask in it, for I do not feel it anymore. But I would go up to a receptive emissary. It can be anyone. She's not that picky. She's here to meet people.
Okay. Do you look for a receptive emissary on the North Shore, where the respondent shadow has asked you to try to find the tooth? Or are you looking on the South Shore, on the opposite bank, in hopes of currying the favor of kindred dark spirits, let's say?
No, just the more positive. We'll see.
The North one? Okay.
I
So
can
as
commune
you
with those people anytime I want to. So
Totally. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, for real. Like your eyes are literally like black as pitch, and like you have these feathered pauldrons and cape on, and you're like literally teeming with darkness and shadow, right? So sure, you can compete with those people anytime. So why don't you make me a perception check to find a good mark?
all right, let's see. That is perception. 16.
Okay. With a 16, you cast your umbral gaze around this North Shore that has like tons of emissaries just swarming it. Some of them are translucent and like phase through you. Others are like definitely very solid and snaking through the grass. And one of them in particular, I think you hold your gaze on. It is a rounded, kind of potato shaped, kind of oblong and kind of, like large. And its skin is bright vermilion. It's maybe the size of like a very fat cat or like a rather small dog. And these 4 feathery white wings protrude from its rotund back. And it has 6 pairs of really tiny, stubby paws extending from a bulbous underbelly. It doesn't have a face, but it does have like a little butt and like a tiny little rhino-like tail curling out from its rump. And it's kind of like floating like a hollow-headed sapient balloon, just sort of like bobbing against people. And like some of the emissaries, even though this is like the optimistic shore, they seem a little annoyed that it keeps like floating between these 2 emissaries talking to each other, and they keep like batting it away like a balloon, and then it keeps floating back and they bat it away again until it like floats congenially away in your general direction.
Good day.
Oh? And this sentient potato balloon floating cat thing pauses in front of you and just sort of like hovers there. And its wings are so small and its body is so rotund. It's almost like a bumblebee, right? Like it's impossibly keeping itself in the air. Huh?
This is the gathering for the debate, correct?
Uh-huh.
Good. Oh, you've been very helpful. I'm Malka.
Ah. Shoo-shoo.
Oh, good to meet you, Shushu. And you're here for the debate, are you?
Uh-huh.
What do you wish to know about it? Whose discussion are you most excited for?
The tooth.
What about it?
Light and hope and joy. And when they say joy, they like spin around in a pirouette and literal glittering sparkles cascade down from its wings and rain down on you. And I think you're like dressed in this like bright pane of glitter across your dark feathers.
Yes. Well, I'm here because I haven't quite made my mind, but I am open to. So we're here, right? To change minds.
Oh, yes.
Make others see. Yes.
You have
I
a
want-
darkness within you. I sense it coiled like a fist cocked back to punch. Why, oh why, are you really here?
I'm here to relieve some of that tension, to find a way to be more balanced, find some light.
Is that the truth? Or is that
Absolutely.
a lie?
Absolutely. Everyone has darkness, everyone has light. It depends on which one. There's not either one or the other for us.
That is true. That is true. But will you choose the light? Or will you succumb to shadow?
I think can fall either way, positive or negative. light requires darkness, and darkness requires light to cast on it.
That is
And I'm
true.
just here to be of service to my people. What about
Mm.
you? Why are you here?
Shoo is here because Shoo likes the tooth. The tooth is a good emissary. The tooth serves the Raven Queen and Sen. And Shoo loves the Raven Queen and Sen. Shoo loves all of the 8.
And they do another pirouette and another like explosion of glitter, I think, falls in your direction.
I think at the mention of the Raven Queen, you just see like there's a tightness to Malka's like expression that she tries not to express.
Mm.
And that's why I'm here. I do know the Raven Queen, and there's so much bad here. There's so much negative, and the Raven Queen has done so much good.
Has she? Or
Yes.
has she left you? Is that how you feel? Shoo can sense sadness. Shoo eats sadness. So there is joy in the world. And is there not something amiss in your soul, Malka?
Yes. Unfortunately, there is sadness in my heart, and there's a sadness in all that live in the courts of the Raven. And I think someone like you could help a lot.
Of course, Shoo lives to help mortals and emissaries and everyone in between and beyond. But what's that behind you, Malka? It's been here the whole time, and rather not what, but a sound? Do you hear it? A whistle. A whistle, a whistle. I don't like that whistle.
Just a friend. Shy.
A friend? Or a
Friend.
darkness that seeks to eat your light?
A friend. With a frightening shape, but a good heart.
Okay.
And
And
I think
Shoo,
if you
like-
that one I will find that one later.
Yeah, they flap and they circle around you, like bing bing, like dropping glitter as they do, and they do not leave your side. Like they seem to have like glommed onto you and attached themselves
Oh,
to you.
good. Excellent. Yeah, good. And we'll continue talking about what good we can do. Make people
Good.
happier.
Good,
Yes.
good, happy, joy, Shoo.
And Shoo like coils around you again, and like glitter rains down from the sky, and it's like bright pink and gold and as red as their skin. And when the glitter flutters away, we find a third mortal, commingling amongst these emissaries. And I think as we pull down through the crowd, we locate you, Yuki. Why don't you tell us, what do you look like and what are you doing here in green open water?
So Yuki is a 5'11" elf. She's got long black hair tied up in a ponytail with like 2 pieces in front that somehow just don't get in the way despite how long and flowy the rest of their hair is. And the hair is like black, but in light it could be, hey, is that little blue? Is that purple? Is that even some copper? But because they've been kind of traveling a lot, it's kind of dull, and Yuki looks really tired. So also the antlers, they would be like a shiny copper, but they're like slightly dusty looking. And they have a like sleeveless vest. Yes, I understand vests don't have sleeves, but they don't have a shirt on under the vest. And that's a like dark brown. They've got the like big pleated like samurai style pants, but they've been outfitted so that they actually have pockets instead of just like holes on the sides where you can't actually hold anything. And Yuki is very just on edge. There's a lot more emissaries here than I expected. I was told there'd be emissaries. I knew that there was going to be a big meeting of emissaries. And yet there's a lot more here than I expected. And now I guess I have to, and I'm here to make sure nothing else comes through. And I'm like, one person? Man, I really did pick the short straw on this assignment.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Yuki, as you're sort of like these thoughts of responsibility and overwhelming volume of emissaries, I think, are swarming your brain. Where do we find you? Are you on the North Shore, full of light and shoo-shoo? Or are you on the Southern Shore, where there's darkness and sinister things afoot?
I think actually North Shore.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so Yuki, as you're making your way through the crowd, how are you trying to further your goal of keeping these emissaries safe? Are you like positioning yourself as like a bodyguard, like at the very front of the shore by the water? Or are you like trying to find particularly vulnerable emissaries and reach out to them, or something else entirely?
I think for now it's more of a patrol kind of feel than a like active defense sense. So I think it's more very, very tense, but just kind of watching, okay, what's going on? What's going on? Is everything, everything cool? No fights are breaking out over there. Nothing's happening. Just kind of seeing what's going on mostly.
Yeah, okay. So Yuki, as you like patrol through the space, emissaries take a passing interest in you, as they do with like the other mortals. Like, it's very obvious you're not an emissary, but no one's like kicking you out or being mad at you. This is, after all, of course, the North Shore as well. So as you patrol up and down this shore looking around, right, I think you hear a voice. A deep, masculine voice ringing throughout the North Shore that calls your name specifically, because emissaries have a knack for just knowing mortals' names and other personal details, right? And the voice says, Yuki, Yuki, Yuki.
Yes?
Do you turn?
Slowly.
You see, limned by the light of the starless sky, as the lack of a sun in the sky, this ever-present gray light starts to fade into evening, limned by this, silhouetted by this, is a muscular and bestial emissary. He has the golden body of a lion with a thick, dark mane that's darker than black, shot through with strands of pure starlight. And she also has the face of an old, old woman with a beard bleeding into her mane. And this Sphinx cocks his head to the side and regards you, sitting in a very regal and composed position. Something troubles your soul, mortal. I feel it, like a fish thrashing in water.
Well, as you know, the gods are still missing, the stars are still missing. Hope seems to be dwindling on this plane, but you know what? I'm still here, and I'm still here doing my job.
Ah, well, you have come to the right place to seek answers about hope, mortal. Do you still carry a torch for it? The hope, I mean.
As I said, I'm still here, so I must not have given up completely.
Mortal resilience, paired with mortal suffering, paired with mortal bitterness and joy and love. Something I envy at times. We owe you everything, we think, and also nothing and also still something.
I should have known. You're a Sphinx. You speak in riddles.
Riddles? Or simply layered questions most mortals refuse to unpick?
Is there a difference?
Is there?
I guess I will have to think on this.
The Sphinx rises off of her haunches and stretches forward, like in the exact same way that a cat might, like with like the rear end going up and like they go down and stretch, and you hear these kind of sickening crack, 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 cracks as each vertebrae also like cracks out from the stretch, and then they like lean forward and approach you, and that dark, dark, dark mane, blacker than a storm-tossed ocean, like sort of falls along their shoulders, streaked through with these bright, bright, bright veins of starlight. And they look down at you, and the Sphinx says, "I am Athedon, the Sphinx, servant of Mungshen Jirdi, and you and all mortals who seek to serve each other and us and Andake are welcome on the North Shore."
I accept. You're welcome. Thank you. And I'm honored that you would choose to speak to me.
A wise response. And Athedon lowers their big, old, bearded head, and they give you a rough lick, I think, like, up off the top of your head, and their tongue is every bit as, like, rough as a tiger's, but, like, somehow even more, and I think the lick comes away with a little bit of your blood, but somehow it doesn't hurt. And I think your forehead is kind of marked with your own crimson life essence. And I think, like, on that lick and on the blood starting to bead on your skin as you look up at this Sphinx, this Athedon that had welcomed you for your hope, we push across your face to find, I think, the last of 4 mortals who find their way to green open water. Gentle. Why don't you tell us what do you look like and what you're doing here?
Gentle is, as always, a Triton. Blue skin, green hair. Hair's normally in a ponytail with like a little like bits in the front. I don't know how hair works. Gentle is always wearing a big red cloak with a sort of tight purple tank top and big baggy patchwork pants, alongside some like sandals with little wings on them. And Gentle's here because, well, they were here with Root to check this place out. They went to go visit Root for tea and got asked to help with a favor.
Yeah, I actually think we find you, Gentle, and Root not on the North Shore, not on the South Shore, but on the bridge. This wide bridge that spans both of these banks and forms like a little bit of an arch, and is crusted on the underside with like algae and little shells from the ever splashing brine of the black tongue underneath. And Root is kind of leaning on one of the wooden railings and looking out over this congregation of emissaries. And as we pan over to him, we see that he is a very handsome indeed human man with this like rich dark skin and these like long black braids that I think like trail down his back, and he's dressed in like the finest robes of Blackspire, which is to say very humble fabrics and linens, but like patched over the years with like a loving needle and thread, kind of stitch work that would put some Morozan weavers to shame even, and you would know. And Root is like leaning there, elbows up, fingers interlaced underneath his chin, lets out this like deep, loving almost sigh upon like looking at all of these spirits gathered on the banks of green open water. But there's a kind of darkness knitting his smooth forehead together, right, as you're next to him. Gentle, thank you so much for coming here with me and helping me figure out exactly what's going on here. And Root turns and leans his back against the railing to face you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I owe so much to you, so I'm just glad to help, honestly. Gentle is like clearly a little trying not to blush, but they're fine. They're doing great.
Oh, generous as always, Gentle. So selfless. You have such a good heart. Well, of course, as one of the Dexai of the court, it is my duty to tend to matters of our great realm. And when I had first heard rumors of emissaries congregating in the wake of, well, such infinite disaster here in Green Open Water, you understand, I'm sorry I had to cut our capital date short.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. Was it a date? We said it was tea.
Oh, I assumed it was a date. Am I mistaken?
No, no. I'm glad it's a date. I just didn't know what words to use for it. Gentle is floundering. They are incredibly red right now.
Yeah, Root like pushes off the banister and approaches you, and actually like takes your hands in his and like holds it. And I think there's a moment in the light of like the dimming light of the sunless sky where the two of you are silhouetted on the bridge and you're holding hands, and we just see like your shadows outlined right against the horizon of the Sigourney Sea in the near distance. And Root laughs and cocks his head to the side, gazing at you deeply, and says, well, this can be whatever we say it is, Gentle. If it's a date, it can be a date. If it's just two friends hanging out, it can just be two friends hanging out. But if you ask me, I think that would be a pity if it wasn't more.
Yeah. I would like for it to have been a date and be a date. Maybe we can finish it when this is all done. But anyway, yeah, this is pretty amazing. Just I've interacted with emissaries a little, some good, some less good, but I'm really fascinated by all of this.
It is fascinating, Gentle. I've never quite seen emissaries swarm like this before, and I am particularly motivated to help get to the bottom of this and resolve things if there are things to be resolved so we can get back to our, well, definitely date.
Yeah, me too. Do we want to approach from any side or the other, or just kind of fly down?
Let's see. And as you and Duke both approach the other railing to like look over Green Open Water proper, I think the final little fingers of light from the sunless sky are beginning to sink underneath the horizon, and darkness is starting to fall over Green Open Water, but little motes of magical light are easily illuminating the shores from the various like weave spun spirits here who can very easily light things up with magic. And as that occurs, I think all of you in Green Open Water hear a gong, like a kind of gong, 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 and it like reverberates from everywhere and kind of nowhere at once. And all at once, on the north shore, on the south shore, emissaries start to bustle and hustle, almost like they're taking places at the beginning of a show. Like they're all rushing to a different part of the bank, like sitting down, looking around, like there's like that syrupy sense of anticipation starts to thicken even more. And Tadana and Mauka and Yuki, the three of you on your respective shores are like ushered and insisted upon various ways by the various emissaries you're interfacing with to head over to the bridge. And I think we pan over to you, Tadana, real quickly, as this Medusa. She, at this point, I think, had like cocked her head to the side, and these crimson snakes had also sort of fallen against her jaw, and she had introduced herself as Stheno, darling. You can call me Stheno.
Well, Stheno, if you are to be my guide today, I suppose I will have to enjoy your company somehow.
Well, yes.
Certainly. But our time seems to be cut short by the rise of the opening gong. You are not emissary, though that lack within your soul aches to be filled by us, I think. You are mortal still, and so you must preside over the neutral water. And all of her snakes and all of her fingers point in the direction of the bridge.
Can I do something really quickly?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Go for it.
Yes. Tadana is going to cast augury about this decision, I guess, to go to the bridge. And they're going to reach out to any emissary. It doesn't not have to be Stheno? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm like a tooth in and I'm like, lisps.
I know, it's like the hardest name ever if you have like
yeah. They're actually going to they usually like their divination tool is going to be the umbrella walking aid. There's there's magical energy just vibrating around Tadana at this point, and they're going to use that to just see what would happen, like what kind of feeling of the future would come from going in this direction that they are being guided towards.
Totally. Yeah, I think your umbrella, which also doubles as like a walking stick for you, you plant it into this soft black tongue drenched soil on the edges of the bank. And how does this divination usually flow through you? What typically happens?
Yes, so as they slam it into the ground, there's like a sphere of energy that just radiates from them, and then as it ripples out in like waves, it's like the waves return to them, but towards the top of their head, and she lifts her head like this to see what direction or what place they'd be looking towards for the future.
Roll me a D100.
Oh, okay. Give me one moment. All right, I got a 77.
Okay, Tadana, as you close your various eyes, embrace, I think, the upward tilt of your consciousness for the fates, for the weave, for magic to tell you what to do next, if this is weal or woe, you feel them. Under normal circumstances, Tadana, there's maybe only one or two if you're in a particularly magic-flooded area that you feel, but here they are thrumming, pouring into you, like wiggling into the pores of your consciousness like water, thrumming through the holes of coral, the presences, the consciousnesses, the soul stuff, the demands, the bitterness, the emotions of 77 emissaries flood into your brain as you open it up to the universe for guidance. And like 77 of these nearby emissaries, we see them like kind of like seize up a little. And some of them actually, who are ghostly, like float toward you and like swoop through your body. Like they're swooping and swooping and swooping like vultures and eagles and hawks and birds of prey with ghostly feathers just traveling
traveling through your body. And I think we see you kind of getting buffeted back and forth by all of these different emissaries drawn to you, drawn to that thing that's amiss within your soul, trying to fill it with themselves, with their own determinations for what you should do. And you hear 77 different possibilities, different opinions about what you should do next. Some are saying, to the bridge, to the bridge. Others are saying, into the water, walk into the water. Others are saying, go up, fly, swim, jump, leap. And still others are saying, burrow, burrow, into the ground, deep underneath the dark, the dark. All different kinds of interference from all over. You are a raw nerve. You are a radio signal leaching into space. No one else is on the South Shore, but Gentle, I think you're the closest on the bridge. You see this happening to a mortal on the South Shore, and you see like Tadana getting what appears to be like attacked or just swooped by like dozens of spirits from all sides.
Muted. Root, can you see that? I'll be right back. Is that okay?
Oh my, yes, why don't you go help
And
that person?
Gentle immediately jumps off the bridge and flies over there.
Yeah, your winged sandals. You leap off the bridge and you fly and you glide over to where Tadana is. And as you cut like this beautiful arc through the air, Yuki and Mauka, the two of you on the North Shore, I think also see this happening. Mauka, Shushu has continued to sort of like rub up against your elbows and your shoulders, dropping glitter all over you. And Yuki, this sphinx, finally leans away from you with this huge black beard and mane and also turns in the direction of this commotion happening on the South Shore. What did the two of you do?
I think Mako will head over there. It's the most interesting thing, and she's here to observe interesting things.
Okay, yeah. Are you doing any like cool way of getting across the river, or are you using the bridge?
Using the bridge, yes.
Cool. Yeah, you cut your way through the emissaries on the North Shore, shoving past them, and you like make your way to the bridge, and Shushu is still flapping kind of nervously around you and going,
Oh, Mauka, that's the South Shore. I don't know if I can follow you across the bridge.
Yeah, you can do it. You're so positive. Be brave. Someone might need your help here on this bridge. Pointing to the commotion.
Well, yes, that person needs my help. I can feel it. They have a hole in their soul, just like you, but also different from you. A real hole, something torn out of the fabric of their triptych.
That just means they need more help. And what is good and optimism if we can't use it on people? So let's go.
I think what Shushu says is they look at you with their lack of a face, but it's definitely not the butt end pointed at you. It's like the non-butt end pointed at you, and their little wings are flapping, and they pause as you're at the end of this bridge, and they say,
Okay, I trust you, Mauka. Let's help this person.
And they like float alongside you as you cut your way across the bridge and approach onto the scene. What about you, Yuki?
Yuki sees this from across the bridge and starts going across the bridge, and I think about halfway over just takes their quarterstaff and kind of uses it to like as a miniature pole vault to just get them there faster.
Oh yeah, into it, yeah, and you do it. You just you vault your way across. Why don't you make like an acrobatics check to see how cool it is? Or an athletics, up to you.
I think I will take athletics, 'cause I'm pretty sure that's the one I have
yeah, go for
proficiency in.
This is just for coolness and flavor. It won't matter if you... Nothing bad will happen if you fail.
Well, that's good, because I think it's only a 9.
Tell me how it's kind of like blunt and direct and like more forceful than it is like flavorful.
So, since it's only a quarterstaff, it's not a very long stick. So, like, you can't get that much distance off of it. So it was just more kind of almost like a ski pole, just plant and push instead of like this graceful arc of as they were trying to do. It was just more like, well, I'm gonna get myself there faster. Plant, leap.
Totally. Yeah. Gentle as you float down, elegant as a leaf, there's like a thump. As this like paladin like lands with like a quarter staff as like a ski. Yeah, like exactly. Like boost, 3-point landing, boom, right there. And that's also when Malka, I think, is accompanied by Shushu also running across the bridge. But Gentle, you get there first. Tadana, as Gentle descends, as all of these other mortals converge upon you, how are you dealing with this?
So every single one of the 77 emissaries have sort of passed through them or around them or said something to them, and it's like their leftover energy or essence is still part of their body, and they're reacting to all of this. And at this point, with the approach of everyone else, Gentle flying over, and then Yuki suddenly just appearing, it's all too much. And he stumbles backward, and then he goes, no, stay back. And their wings sort of, I guess, you know how they bristle, and then they just hold their hands up.
Are they still flying around? Because I have something for this.
It's like they're, I guess, I'm not it's like, I don't know, like a weave, just about, like, I don't know, like floating. That's the word, floating, I guess, in some sort of, it's like they're still drifting back and forth, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not too fast.
Okay. I think Gentle at seeing what definitely looked like sensory overload. This is the perfect person to help in this moment. Like walks very calmly to you. It's like, hey, I'm a friend. I'm not flying around like that, but just focus in, breathe for a second. I'm right here. I'm a friend. I'm here to help. And they offer like a hand to you as like a grounding, as like something to ground yourself with.
And so Tadana sees his hand, with their cloak sort of billowing around a little bit. One or two of the eyes managed to catch it. And then I think she focuses on their voice. That being, I guess, the closest thing to, I guess, not I guess it coming from a mortal is grounding, very much grounding. And so he follows it, and then she sort of lifts up her wing, like barely, like her left wing, just to kind of peer, but like not enough for Gentle to see. And then they make sure that they're actually grabbing the hand that Gentle offered, and then says, a friend.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Gentle. Normally, I guess legally I'm a mercenary, but I'm not here for that. I'm here to help. Anyway, unimportant. I'm glad you're okay.
Yes. And it's like the bitterness that they were feeling beforehand, combined with every single emotion that these emissaries gathering around the south had given them. It's sort of cut through at this point with Gentle's presence. It's like they can feel the comfort just radiating off of this person, and it is immediately very grounding and very calming. And her shoulders relax, and they say, there's so many of them.
Yeah. I'm kind of here to check out what's happening with all that. I did see a couple of other people sort of on the way over. So if we want to take a second to breathe and wait for them, I think we made enough of a scene.
Mhm.
And I think, speaking of which, that's when Yuki and Malka arrive on the scene.
Ooh. I think when Malka arrives, there's an instant of recognition. And Tadana, I knew that looked familiar. Are you okay?
And Tanana turns their head and they squint, though you can't see it, and then their eyes like closing. They're not their eyes, their wings closing a little bit more from the previous, I guess, demeanor. And he goes, "Oh, the Umbral Priestess. I didn't know you would be here."
Oh, it has been too long. Too long.
Oh.
Too many of them. And she'll kind of like gesture too many of them around, I'm guessing.
Yes, you're familiar with how they work. It's just not at all something I'm very used to. You know, there's usually just 2 or 3, and now there's 77. If I count it correctly.
It's a lot easier if you focused on the one. Makes things more manageable. What is it this time? Light or dark?
And then yes, Tadana like slowly like sighs, but it's like it's a groan as well. It just and then Tadana says, "We shall see what the future holds for all of us." And then he actually turns to Yuki, and then she tilts her head and goes, "Yuki."
Ah.
You're
I was wondering
here.
when we'd find each other.
Yes, it's been how long since I've seen you? I believe we parted ways before Dabathati, and you notice the demeanor changes of emotion that Tadana is giving off just changes as they're shifting between conversations between all of them, and then they're a little bit more open with Yuki, and they their wings like relax a little bit more, and they turn towards Yuki.
It's good to see you in one piece.
Yes. Nice seeing you. How was Dabathati? How was that?
Ah. So many things happened in Dabathati. There was the Chrysalis conference, which turned out not a good thing. Wait. And at this moment, Yuki will notice Gentle. Wait, you were the speaker of Dabathati, weren't you?
Oh no, yeah, yes, but hi, nice to meet you. I'm Gentle. I get, are people using that name now?
That's what you've been called when people don't use Gentle.
Yeah, no, that is me. I was at the conference as well.
Do you believe that we can actually continue to have hope even without the gods?
At that, actually, Gentle sounds surprisingly confident. Absolutely, yeah. A friend of mine told me to always make sure to build bridges, and we can do that.
Well, we just left one.
You're right, actually. Can I try? I don't want to just leave. It's bad energy. But also, can I try to make a perception roll to see if I can see Root from here?
You don't even have to. Root is on his way over after
Okay,
seeing all of you
beautiful.
converge, after seeing Tadana like calm down. And I think Root at this point has also arrived on the scene and is like sort of brushing off their Dexai robes, which all of you recognize as like, you know, as noble as a court denizens can be, like a noble of the court of ravens. They're like dusting themselves off. Hello, fellow mortals. It's good to see all of you. And Hugh, how are you? I noticed all the emissaries swooping.
Hi, I'm doing as good as I can be. And Tadana's demeanor, once again, it changes to reflect who they're talking to. And Tadana like sort of, I guess, bows or curtsies in the presence of what they know to be the Duke.
Yes.
And they go, I am Tadana, and I commune with the mooners, the movers of fate. I commune with the movers of fate. I promise, I commune with the movers of fate.
I see. And that must be what brought you here to the Cosmic Convergence, and the two of you. And Root now turns to you, Yuki, and you, Mocha. Well, what brings you here?
For me, it's work.
Work. Good
After
work,
the
I hope.
cataclysm, I couldn't find my way because the gods were missing. So, and I found that, you know, the empty beast, you can't reason with them. You can't treat them with kindness and make them go away that way. The only way to deal with them is to fight them. So I kind of almost had to, well, not exactly break my oath, but change an oath and became a watcher.
Keeping us all safe from threats
those
beyond
afar.
the beyond. Well, thank you. And I, as a representative of the court itself, would like to extend my thanks to you. Yuki, was it?
Yes.
Thank you for keeping not just your own home, but the homes of everyone here on Andake safe from, well, these empty threats. And you. And Duke Sweetbreeze turns to a former priestess of the Raven Queen. His eyes take in your feather. Like, you still kind of look like you're dressed in the garbs of priesthood, right?
Yes.
Are you a servant of the Queen as well?
Root. Nothing?
I don't.
Oh,
There's a
that's right,
pause as Root's like taking you in, right? Like, because when was the last time? I don't know if you've met since the Cataclysm, right?
Yes, I guess I fall into your to our now joined court. Does that make me subordinate? You're my boss. How does that work exactly?
Mocha?
Yes. It's been too long. Huh?
Mocha, forgive me, I almost didn't recognize you. The magic brimming off of you is so... There's a pause.
Strong.
Different, I was going to say, than from when you worship still the Queen? Mocha, my dear old friend. And Duke Sweetbreeze like opens up his arms and moves in to hug you.
Yeah.
Do you let him?
Yeah, yep. It's good to see you.
It's
here
good
for
to see
business, pleasure, both.
A little bit of pleasure interrupted, I'm afraid. This is Gentle, my... And there's a pause. My good friend.
Good to meet you, good friend, Gentle.
Nice to meet you as well. Malka, was it?
Yes.
Oh, well, it's nice to meet you. I'm glad you're friends with Root. I've known him for a little bit. He taught my wolf how to speak. That's a different story.
Really?
Yeah, like words like us, not just can speak. He also knows a little Morosi.
Just a
Well.
smidge. Gentle's been teaching me more. I know Morosi words for tea and wolf, kiss, of course, love, and some other. And there's a pause. Other words.
Yeah, Malcolm just like tilts their head a little bit towards us. Like,
But
see.
Malka, it's so good to see you. I was worried that all the children of the court, I mean, we were so scattered all across Andake performing our rites and our rituals and whatnot, even before the cataclysm. I'm glad you survived the vanishing. And I'm so glad to see you here.
yes, I am also glad to see that you are here. Good spirits, and that court functions as it does.
Yes, of course, we're
Guys.
doing our best. You know, we can use all the hands and all the help and magic that we can get. Malka, if you're back here, are you back here to join Blackspire again? Perhaps to rejoin your lessons, your studies?
Oh, yeah, I'm here too, to join Blackspire, but to assist as I can, but the old way, do not speak to me anymore. Literally.
I'm sorry? What do you mean by that?
I do not hear their voice anymore. Haven't had to since the cataclysm.
Yes, of course. Well, that's occurred here as well. The queen and her emissaries, well, aside from the emissaries gathered here, I suppose, or trapped on this side of the now. Aside from those, I haven't heard anything. Not from the stars, not from the 8. I'm sure out there in the beyond. Not from her fingers or gestures or servants. Nothing. But still, we have to keep faith close to our hearts. That's how we can carry on the lessons of the 8 and help everyone. Don't you agree, Mocha?
We do what we must. Without the blessing of our dear Raven Queen, we must do what we can. And that's why I'm here, and I'm sure that's why you are here as well.
Well, yes, of course, we must be resourceful, like our good friends, the scavengers of death, vultures and whatnot. But, Mocha, I am surprised. You smell of magic, and yet you claim the queen doesn't speak to you anymore.
No. Made new friends, allies. That's why I'm here. Them. They will help us.
Them. And
They
who
will help us regain the life that we've had. Power we had.
Yeah, I think
Them.
Root and Gentle make similarly concerned and suspicious faces, like in tandem and twin as they both look at you. And to Donna, you, as a conduit for emissaries, as an open hole to the whirling cosmic influences that may be, you feel them emanating from Malka, whom you haven't seen in some time. You feel, I think, a dark presence. Now that these 77 other influences are drifting off, like ripples coming off of a pebble splashing into a river, you can now focus on like another presence brimming inside of, no, not quite, right behind, a half step behind Malka. It's like a dark, shadowy presence almost. An emissary, you know it immediately. You know emissary so well, it's definitely an emissary, but this one feels like particularly dark. As far as sinister spirits go, this one is like up there. What do you do?
So I guess it's like they're talking, right? But over the course of the conversation and as the other emissaries like move away, it's like the conversation sort of fades out a little bit, and then they see the darkness, and then I guess it's like something in them tries to like tune into it, right? I'm not sure how to.
Why don't you roll me religion or arcana? Dealer's choice.
All right. All right, so I rolled a 16 on the die, but +9, that gives me 25, I believe.
Hey.
Nice. That's a really good roll.
Yeah.
You hear a whistle. It sounds so far away, Tadana. You almost don't hear it, like on the periphery of your perception. A whistle. There's something about it that's melodic, almost beckoning, almost welcoming, like the forgotten lullaby that a parent used to sing to you. But there's also something with your 25 deeply ominous about it. It is almost atonal. It's almost like a 2-layered whistle, one of which is bright and glittery and silvery and welcoming, but the real tone underneath is almost too deep for you to fathom, almost too deep for you to notice upon first listen. And also with your 25, I think your feathers prick up with this kind of chill, because even though the whistle is so far away, you can't help but feel that this presence is right there.
Yes, so they hear the melody and then they feel the vibrations of the, I guess, counter melody, the rumbling, and their feathers perk up, and then they say, Malka. You said there, and then it's it's almost as if Tadana is acknowledging that this whistling entity is there. You say that they are here to help.
Malka looks in the direction of the shadow. Yeah. Oh, yes. You can see.
Yes, I
You
can
can
see many
see.
things.
Yes. They are here to help. They have helped me. There are many places that would not be here had they not helped.
So just so I'm in on the loop. This is an emissary helping you. Is it like stuck to your soul or anything like that?
Stuck feels like a negative connotation. Exactly. Judgment. Exactly. No. We are in a partnership to help who we can.
Fair. I'm sorry if it seems negative. I just have a bad history of someone I care about dearly. Having an issue with an emissary. It wasn't great. Root can attest to that as
well. They
No,
are
it was quite
beings,
bad.
much like the gods. Light and darkness, equal measures, represent everything. So they are as numerous as we are. One experience does not necessarily denote experience with others. I've seen.
No, that's fair, and I do apologize. It's mostly a concern, but I will not stand in your way on this.
Oh, healthy amount of doubt and questioning is always good. Never want to just blindly follow faith, all that.
I agree, Malka. We do never just want to follow what we've been told. We should always question and ask. And Root is still looking at you with like squinted eyes, like his brows kind of knitted, his arms are crossed, and he doesn't seem to like, you get the sense he's also trying to like pierce your mask and like sort of sense whatever entity might be lurking inside or beyond your soul, but doesn't quite have that same kind of intuition that Tadana does. And then the little fluttering shoo-shoo interrupts this little crimson potato thing. And it says,
Gosh.
What I want to say is I trust Malka. She's my friend. Oh, and I think the next opening gong's about to sound. If everyone's okay, can we get back to the bridge because some of these Southern Shore emissaries look like they want to eat me?
Oh, we'll never let you. What? They're right.
You are the cutest thing.
Right?
Oh, thank you. I love to spread joy, and a lot of people feel joy when they see my plump, cute little form.
and shoo-shoo twirls and glitter rains down on all of you.
It'll never come out of of my clothing.
I know. It's really good, right? Gentle loves this.
Wonderful,
yes!
isn't this?
I knew Gento would like shoo-shoo. Yeah, Root claps his hands together and nods as we hear like another gong start to ring out from everywhere and nowhere at once, like a gong, gong, reverberating like vibrato through the air. And Root sort of like inclines his head toward the bridge. Well, all right then. Tadana, I'm glad you're okay. Yuki, thank you so much for protecting all of us and volunteering your services here. And Malka, good to see you. Let's head to the bridge then.
Yeah, let's go.
And I think on that, if it's okay with all of you, you all head to the bridge as that final note of the gong starts to die down. And you get like a very good view of both shores. The North Shore teeming with light and brilliance and radiance, and the South Shore swarming and seething with a kind of bitterness, a kind of almost like resentment and fear and pain. And as that final note of the gong rings down, Yuki, you sense it first. You're a paladin, so you've got divine sense. And I think it pings on like the edges of your divine sense, a presence you had not encountered before the cataclysm, but know all too familiarly now. Emptiness. That vacuous, absorptive, seething nothingness. It pings on the periphery, I think, of your perception. Even though nothing visibly changes, aside from the gong just kind of starting to go silent. So I think in these first few little beats, before the great debate begins and the tooth and the tongue reveal themselves, what do?
I think I want to take up my Warhammer because I feel like something is going to happen. And it almost feels redundant, but let's cast Detect Good and Evil.
Okay, yeah, how does that look? What does that feel like?
So, I think for Yuki to cast, she'll kind of take the Warhammer, pick it up, and almost just kind of strike the ground. And then as it kind of reverberates up through the hammer, up the bulging arms, because Yuki is very buff. And then it's kind of like this golden shimmer that kind of goes up and it gets the sense of just the reverberation is kind of flowing up the arm, across the rest of the self, and up to the head. And that's when you can kind of like feel what it's going to be based off those almost a sonar.
Yeah, like your sonar, but boom, reverberates all the way up your limbs, through your limbic system, racking through your nerves like divine holy fire. And when you open your eyes, they too shake with this resonance. And you see it. You see all of the emissaries of the northern and southern shores, every single person here in Green Open Water light up like a beacon on Adolin. And each color that they light up in indicates a kind of different moral flavor, let's say. And in Andake, of course, emissaries are the only entities, the only creatures that are aligned in some way or other. Everyone else is neutral, capable of making your own choices and changing your tune at any time, right? So here on the North Shore, there is an overwhelming majority of like good aligned emissaries. Emissaries who are inherently selfless in some way, who inherently like go out of their way to help other people. All of the classical things we might ascribe to goodness light up on the North Shore. There are a couple of neutral emissaries on the North Shore and a couple of evil ones too, quote unquote evil, right? And then on the southern shore, we see it kind of light up in a blaze of just radiant darkness. And we see a ton of like quote unquote evil aligned emissaries there, with a couple of good aligned ones and a couple of neutrally aligned ones as well. And what you would know too, Yuki, with your magic as a paladin, is the way you look at the world is flavored by your approach to magic. So if you believe in good and evil, your magic helps you see good and evil. But if you don't, it wouldn't. So I think, does Yuki believe in good and evil?
Yeah.
Then that's what you would see. And I think what you would also see radiating out on either side of you are your friends here. The other mortals also light up. And all of you light up in a kind of neutral gray. But that's still very bright, right? That's just kind of like a neutral ascription. None of you seem to be inherently aligned except for two different people. Tadana, who has various different moralities running in and out of them constantly, especially now surrounded by emissaries. And you see something very odd indeed inside Tadana. There is a hole in the middle of their soul. There's just like a gaping, empty lack. Like it almost got shattered and a piece of it broke off and was placed somewhere else. And Tadana, tell me, what shape is that hole that Yuki sees?
The hole, I suppose, it starts if it's like, I guess, and if this color, the colorful energy is, I guess, in the shape of their figure. It comes from their heart, and it's not shaped like a heart, but it's like the hole is biggest there, but there are cracks, I guess, just leading up towards the top and the bottom and kind of extending throughout. It's almost like it's been like withering away with time. It's like grown, like it's grown over time. Like it started there, but it's grown over time.
And what color is your soul, Tadana?
So it is actually just like their wings, a mixture of orange and teal. It's become the sort of like, I guess, a light brown color that like it converges in the middle, but it's all swirling around clockwise.
Mm-hmm. It swirls clockwise, this teal and orange bleeding into a nice, pleasant light brown, except for that, heart-shaped, kind of metaphorically heart-shaped hole punched through the middle of Tadana's triptych. The other person that lights up different than just a neutral gray is Mauka. Not Mauka herself, I think, but something like both within and behind Mauka, like a shadow that's inside this person that also leaches out behind her like a sentient darkness. And that lights up like pure, vivid, dark, lucent white. Like the color of like the deepest kind of evil you've ever encountered, aside from the new empty beasts, I think. And it's like latched onto the back of Mauka's soul, like a shadow adhering itself to the back of its owner. And that's when the tooth and the tongue arrive. And we're going to take a break there. So we'll be back in 10 minutes, everybody. Enjoy your break. And we'll come to the conclusion of this soon. I'm sure everyone's going to be fine and hunky-dory. All right. See you on 10 and Bijo. Hello, 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 everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital, non-existent faces in the chat yet again. We're back with the Cosmic Convergence, the second half, and I'm so excited to just kick us off and get us started here. So, as a reminder, as always, here are the content warnings for this particular session and episode. Content warnings include fantasy violence, monsters and monstrosity, apocalypse, trauma, complex and complicated relationships, romance, references to sexual entanglements, death and killing, experimentation, corruption, and existentialism. So use !CW for full list of these content warnings at any time. And with that out of the way, we're going to hop right back into a Cosmic Convergence. Emerging from the wet, salt-struck soil of the South Shore is a unicorn. A sleek, black, feathered unicorn with a panther's body and a single bat's wing folded into the left side of their hide. They have no legs. Instead, they rise up forward on their belly like a king cobra upon the ground, and from their cat-like face, a long forked tongue flicks in and out, in and out. Their lashing tail is split in two, like a predator's jaws yawning open, and each section is ribbed with bony teeth. This is the tongue of the South Shore. And emerging from the soil of the North Shore is a second unicorn. We see a limber, thickly furred horse's body with 6 legs, each ending in a hoof, a hand, or a claw. Their fleece gleams with a golden hue, and their face is equine, long and noble. However, the skull of a raven covers the entirety of their visage, obscuring their features, their throat, even their jaw. A single antler protrudes from the left side of their temple. And this is the tooth. And the tooth raises their skulled, masked face and says, "Convene one, convene all, upon the great debate of the beyond, hosted for the first time since the realms were formed in the now. I am the tooth, and I am the tongue. For millennia told and untold, we have quarreled, brother, about the nature of divine existence. We have debated 888,887 times, and we debate for the 88th. Today, of these debates I cede, you have won 444,444 times, and I have won 444,443 times. As is balance, as is push and pull, as is yes and now, change and death, death and change, as we are twin emissaries of the Queen, and send them south. It is written in the forgotten stars, brother, that I shall win our debate today. I shall prove to the emissaries trapped in the now, the emissaries who yearn to return home to the hunting grounds and milk-soft nests of the beyond, that watching anything but our own backs in the wake of the absence of the gods is a fool's demise. The 8 are gone. We owe each other nothing, and we owe ourselves everything." And that's where you are wrong, sister. If, for the first time since the realms were formed, we were to upset the balance of the outcomes of our great debate, what better time than now? What better place than here? Now, more than ever, we owe each other everything. The stars are gone, my friends. The 8 are beyond our reach. We should not fall into despair and give up, as the tongue insists. We should help each other. If there is no light in this world, then we shall become the light for each other. We are emissaries. We have always represented our gods in all their infinite forms, their compassions, their strife, their desires and passions, their fears and terrors, their powers and freedoms and joys and bonds and breakages, and that, my dear tongue, that is what we owe each other.
Useless chatter for a useless rabble. The 8, brother, are fine beyond the great silence, beyond the long dark, beyond the blanket of emptiness that surrounds our world. And where are we? Here, stuck, imperiled, alone. Is it not better to survive, to watch out for ourselves, to not bother with lending a tail or tongue or a fang when that tail or tongue or fang could mean the difference between life and eternal darkness for us all? The after and the beyond are gone from us. Now is the time to play the cards close to our chests, not extend our hands and bleed. If we die here helping each other, there is no beyond for our souls to return to. We simply die, emissary or mortal, it doesn't matter. Forever we are gone, lost to the nothing, lost to the never.
And at that, fear ricochets across the banks at this truth, this risk. And we hear emissaries like chattering and muttering to each other on either side of the black tongue. And the tooth raises their masked, skeletal, skulled, single antlered head, and they turn it in the direction of the bridge. Sister, perhaps our argument of hope and despair is better arbitrated with evidence. Mortals, yes, the 8. The 4 of you mortals, what better witnesses than these natives to the now? Tell us, whom do you side with? And what is your reason? And I think we pan now to the bridge, to the 4 of you and Root. Which of you speaks first?
Weirdly enough, Gentle's ready to go. Yeah, Gentle takes a step forward. Hi, I'm Gentle. I don't want to say obviously. I support the tooth. In my experience, I've seen what the cataclysm has done to a lot of people, and I've seen it bring out some of the worst. And despite that, I've also seen it bring out some truly amazing things as well. And there's a lot of people doing their best to still make this place worth living. So we can work together.
Which one of you steps up next?
I think Tadana will step forward, but they will hesitate in that. And then again, they are sort of tilting their head back and forth between the tooth and the tongue, just seeing them here, just in front of him and presenting her with this question. They are about to answer. I think they were actually about to answer before Gentle. And they were going to just answer with the tongue. But after Gentle's answer, Tadana shows that hesitation and tilts their head towards Gentle as they are speaking. And they breathe in and they say, those are words to think on, gentle. And they step back. It's like they don't give their answer just yet. That's it.
Yeah. Tadana, as you say this, I think very like neutral statement and then step back, we see the kind of feline yet serpentine body of the tongue whip around and look in your direction with that black feathered body with that bat's wing folded against one side of her body. And she says, "Ah, yes, Tadana, a mortal I had called here myself. They, of all mortals, are a perfect witness to the selfishness and fear within all living creatures, mortal or emissary. Do you, Tadana, as my immaculate witness, really think we are capable of helping each other? Now, here, when the long dark is inches from closing in."
As the tongue closes in and their energy just wafts in their direction. Tadana bristles, but then relaxes again and goes, yes, even here, I feel that despair, that cold and distant calling. And they look to the others briefly with their cloak, looking around, and then they say, I have traveled very far to heed your call, and as such and they hesitate once again, I believe that there is not much I can turn to other than this. I hear only emptiness within me, but when the tongue speaks, I feel completion. So I will side with the tongue in this debate.
The tongue's eyes burn like hot coals in a winter stove. You heard it. One of these 5 mortals has seen the truth, seen the way things should be. Oh, great speaker of Dabathati. Oh, mortal entwined with other mortals. You speak of lending a hand in the darkness, but where does that hand get you? The life of Ravi Jinn. Was that not worth anything to you? You could have spared her if only you had watched your own backs.
Gentle takes a very pointed moment at that. I'm aware that mistakes have been made, and unfortunately, lives have been lost. And with every life that's lost, I live with it, I grieve with it, and I use that to help other people. That is all we can do as we move forward together.
Well said, Gentle, says the tooth, who I think their 6 different legs are kind of pawing at the ground this whole time in agitation, as there's been this back and forth between the tongue and Tadana has sided with the South Shore, and then the Tooth pauses and swings their covered masked head back toward that bridge and says, "Sister, you must allow the rest of the mortals to speak. We still have 3 silent voices. And what say the 3 of... the 3 of you?" And there was like a moment where almost like a kind of vagueness or confusion or a distraction came over the tooth, but they quickly shake it off and readdress your party. So Yuki, Malka, what did the 2 of you do?
So, Yuki, one of the things I have is calligrapher supplies. So I think she takes out a very, very large sheet of paper and a brush. And it's with a very steady hand, writes the Jukan character for person. It has one line going one way, another line going the other, and they're leaning up against another. If either line is not there, and then she'll like hold that up so that all emissaries could see. You know, this is like really, 3 foot long kind of writing, so it's like really big, and it's like this is a single character. This is the Jukan character for person. Without one line, the other will fall. And I know the gods are gone. I know the stars are gone. I lost my faith that day when the cataclysm happened. So the only thing I've had left to cling on to is others. It's how I've made it this far. Still working through this, but like this character, without one, the other falls. We have to work together.
Well said, mortal, child, friend, well said. We are all people, though we are emissaries. We must lean on each other as well. We must be able to trust and hope and depend upon each other. You, other mortals, speak.
The gods are gone. You feel it. I felt it. I spent my life in the Raven Queen's embrace. And when we needed them, they were gone. We feel it no longer. I've seen there is nothing beyond. We can't just wait for them to come back. If you are starving and you just sit and wait, you will perish. What we can do is not wait for the nothingness to take us, is to join together. Take the space, the empty space that the gods left, and make the world that we want it to be. If we had not joined, we would be nothing, be dead in the hereafter. Others that I know would be dead in the hereafter. We can't hope that the gods will come back. And if they come back, are they truly gods that have abandoned us? Let so many die. No. We must follow our natures and press upon this world what we want it to be. So in that, I say the tooth has the right of things. We can't just sit by and let this cataclysm take all of us slowly.
Fascinating, Malka. Okay, yeah. At that, the tooth like nods, this like big heavy, languorous, almost like pained nod. Like it's a horse trying to shake off like a horsefly a little bit. It nods a little too long, a little too slowly, and then suddenly snaps its head up. Well, there you have it, sister. The mortals are in overwhelming majority for my side, my position, and they are character testament witnesses to the now, to their home. Their words are weighted in gold. Are they not? Brother, do you require a recess? You do not seem to be of sound mind. Something is addling your speech. No, that is an deflection ad hominem, a landslide fallacy. It, and the tooth begins to sort of walk in these tight, sort of shaking circles upon the bank, and they seem very wobbly, like there's something going on with them. And at this moment, Yuki, the nothingness, the emptiness that had pinged on your divine sense earlier before you cast Detect Good and Evil, pings again. And it feels closer, stronger, more present. And Mauka, for the first time since you've arrived here in green open water, you hear a whistling in your ear, a far away whistle, so gentle like bird song over the top of a chanting dirge. And the respondent shadow says, its voice reverberating through your consciousness, there it is, my servant, my confidant, the power. Do you feel it? The tooth's soul, resonant and bright as Galtanger's rays. We could take it in its moment of weakness, crack it open, drink it like yolk. It can sustain us, sustain my power, sustain your power too. You know what you have to do. Kill it and drink its soul for us. What do y'all do with this information?
I'm going to look at the tooth. You want this world to make a mark, have us join and make something better.
Yes, of course. It's what I want for everyone. Every emissary, every mortal, every shattered god across the now separated from our after, our beyond by interminable darkness. We need hope. We need to make our own starlight. If we have hope, if you all have hope for this world, maybe there's hope for all of us. For you, for us, for me.
So Tadana, seeing all of this, is like just curiously looking, and then within them this whole time they've been like stressed out because they agree with everyone's answer here, but something within them pulled them to answer something else entirely. And then as soon as Malka asks this question and they see the response in the tooth, something else pushes them, and they go, something's wrong. Malka, what have you brought here?
I brought nothing. Look at them. Something is wrong with them.
Tadana, the whistling is suddenly very loud and then it grows very, very quiet. And then it's always there. It's like white noise. You just now notice it, I think, but it's been there this entire time, especially when Malka has been talking quieter and quieter, which means it's closer and closer. And something about this whistling, something about this dark presence, this sinister emissary that has attached itself to the back of Malka's soul is so hungry. Oh my gods, you've never felt such hunger before. It threatens to override like every other sensibility, every other influence that's wrestling for attention, wrestling for dominance within you. And then crack! Like a thunderbolt, a vision smashes through your mind. As a divination wizard, you've gotten visions and portents and omens before, but this one is a tidal wave in the wake of tiny little eddies. It is an ocean in the wake of a child's playground splashing around in muddied pools with boots. A vision of a future that could come to pass. A vision of a wicked deed. You see yourself, I think, embracing the shadow that stuck to the back of Malka's soul, the two of you in a kind of like twisted backwards wrong hug. And you see yourself sinking into this hunger and feeling it embrace you like the cold arms of winter. And there is something so tempting to Dana about letting someone else completely subsume you. So all other emissaries, tugs, and pulls are gone, and it's just this emissary that speaks and tells you what to do. Isn't there something wonderful about giving your life to this one thing so you don't have to make any other choices anymore, so you don't have to feel conflicted and torn anymore, so you are just hunger.
You feel it, don't you? You want to make a change, you want to do good, then you need to take that and fill that empty part of your soul, take it by force, be whole.
Each of these words just stab through to Dana at various points in their body, energy-wise. And the vision they're having causes their wings to uncover their eyes. And now they are expanding, and you can see that their eyes have no irises, and they are glowing with that swirl of teal and orange and a light brown, just seeing so many different futures, but focusing on this one future that is guided by Malka's voice. And as their eyes glow brighter, they sort of smile and they say, I can do good.
Yes. Yes, you can.
With this.
And you can do good without that too.
Tadana turns their head.
But having it. Not doing good, not having anything. Is that going to help that hole in your soul? Is that going to fill it? You spent so much time with these emissaries. Has any of it filled? Have you tried just to take it rather than listen?
The emptiness within, it grows, yes. But I don't want to follow every single thing that calls out to me. I don't want to do harm. I just want everything to be as it was again.
Then make it as it was and take what you need to make it how it was, how you want it to be. If you do not, you're going to think, what if I did forever? It's right there. Take it.
Hey, Malka,
Yes.
I'm gonna step in here. Once again, don't want to judge the situation you have going on with your emissary. However, this is getting dangerously close to a thing I've seen happen before, and I don't like it. So, I get it. When the world ended, everyone lost everything. Everyone lost things that were important and foundational to them. Did you not?
Exactly. What have you lost?
To be fair, I didn't have much to begin with. But I have lost things I've cared about, and I've seen great things happen to those I care about. And it never is easy, and it has always hurt. But I can also see what this is doing to you. What were you like before the cataclysm?
Light, hope for a future. Speaking the Raven's Queen's words as much as I could in my heart. And then, when we needed guidance, power, the most, nothing. Everyone died.
I'm sorry.
Yuki. This entire time, as Gentle, Tadana, and Mocha were arguing, I think you were listening, you were watching, you were witnessing and hearing, but you were also sensing that emptiness, that nothingness, that horrific, vacuous, never has been, never is, never will be energy grow on the periphery of your consciousness, of your perception. It's getting stronger. Do you try to find where it's coming from?
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay, I think you just do it, because it's close. And as it gets stronger, it becomes obvious, and you are the first to notice, Yuki. All of you hear a noise, like rot, splintering the wet roots of an old tree. And then the tooth's skull, that skeletal raven's beak, shatters. Shrapnel, red and porous, explodes everywhere. Shards of bone lodge into the bridge. Glints of marrow skitter onto the surface of the black tongue and sink. Reeling backward, pawing at the air with his front 4 hooves, we see the tooth in his entirety. His whole face, his whole mouth. His head is long and regal like a horse's, but the eyes are human. And the mouth is the mouth of a tiger. And the mouth has no teeth but a single one, a jutting canine, a horn, clawing out of black gum. And there is something wrong with that tooth. It is too long. It is too sinewy. It is too obsidian. Yes, obsidian. A dark black ichor dribbling from that tooth, coating it entirely in wine dark liquid. That ichor before your very eyes is spreading in quick seething veins up the tooth's long face, down his thick equine neck, and throbs underneath the gleaming tufts of their golden fur. And the tooth whinnies, the tooth roars, the tooth bucks into the air and releases a noise none of you have ever heard before, as the corruption they've been hiding this whole time thrashes into view. All around you, emissaries gasp in shock, in terror. The weave tenses like a sore muscle. And I need all of you to roll initiative. Yuki with advantage, because you noticed first.
$16.
16 from Yuki. Let's do Malka.
12.
12. Gentle.
11.
11. Tadana.
I got it's a 9, but my initiative is +7, so that's
16.
Yeah.
God. Okay,
Yeah.
that's tied with Yuki. What are both of your dexterity scores? The base.
10.
14.
So Tadano would go first. Got it. Okay. As the tooth kind of rears up and we see this corruption, this black ichor or something, this veining, throbbing nothingness, it seems to be completely darkening one side of their golden body and causing them pain, and they're thrashing and raging. Tadano, what do you do?
This is very hard because I want to do, I guess, multiple things in a turn, but I can see what I
Go
can
for it.
do.
Go for it. Sell it to me, I'll give you a bargain. Yeah.
So I want to determine if this corruption is sourced from the whistling entity.
Sure. Okay.
Yes.
How are you trying to determine that? Are you comparing the resonances of both, or tell me?
Yes. I don't know if I have I'm trying to see if I have a spell to flavor it, or if I don't know, because I want to do something with this information. So I guess I could do a sort of augury again, or because divination takes 10 minutes, so I don't know if I should.
You can use divination. I'll let it take shorter than 10 minutes if you'll take a cost.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think I will do divination, and I think they will, I guess, they'll get closer to kind of, I guess, reach. They're not going to touch the tooth, but they're going to reach out to sort of feel the energy radiating off of the tooth, and compare it, and then move their hand over. It's like they're running their fingers across the top of water, rippling through the air, and feeling I guess the waves almost like a riptide between them two, and they go over to the whistling entity, and I guess they cast divination. I need to look up what this does because got a lot of spells in oh my goodness. Give me one moment here. I'm so sorry.
You got it. It's all good.
Yes, so divination is supposed to put me in a contact with a god or god's servants. So for this purpose, an emissary. So Tadana asks, I guess I can't choose both, can I? Okay, you know what? They call out and ask if I were to choose to sorry, let me run that back. If I were to choose to silence the whistling entity, what would that mean for me? I can't.
No, I like that.
Question,
no, I like that. I like that. Okay, so you're still on the bridge, and the tooth is on the north bank. So I think maybe you, as you run your hand past Mauka, you walk off of the bridge toward the tooth, who's still thrashing and raging and fighting within themselves and like kicking out with their hooves and punching out with their hands and thrashing out with their claws at the same time. But you like carry that thread of Mauka's soul like entwined in your fingers, and you walk down off of the wood onto the soft, saltwater sodden soil toward where the tooth is kicking and clawing and pawing at the air, and you touch them as well. And you ask this question. And the answer that comes sings through your blood as you make yourself a conduit between these two separate currents of soul energy. And I think the answer that shoots up your right arm like a bolt of black lightning that whistles and whistles and whistles and whistles coming from Mauka's side responds directly in your ear. And this whistling entity speaks to you and says, "You would lose everything, Tadana. I swear to you, I offer you purpose. I offer you direction. My whistling keeps the tugging, gurgling demands of thousands and infinite other emissaries quiet. If you sever this outstretched song to you, you lose all chance of finding out who you are under my terms." And then at the exact same time, talking over what this whistling entity is saying, shooting down like a bolt of radiant light down your left arm, is the tooth's voice. In pain, something about it feels distorted, corrupted. You feel its fear. You feel his terror, his suffering, but you also feel his compassion, his love, his overwhelming, overflowing love for you, for his sister, for all these emissaries on both sides of the banks, for himself, and for a lost mortal in search of guidance. And his voice overlapping against the whistling entity says, "Dana, only you can tell yourself who you want to be. All of us sense that hole within you, and we seek to find ourselves within the emptiness that lurks out of your triptych. But just because you are broken, Tadana, doesn't mean you are not also, in your own way, beautiful or whole. And the only person who can tell you what that means, the only person who should get to tell you how to fill that hole should be you. And I'm so sorry, it is so wrong that we keep hurting you this way, Tadana. And if I could, I would stop it, but And the cost of casting divination as an action is you're going to take some damage, as the corruption that was running through the tooth's soul shoots into you through your left arm. And you're going to take 49 points of necrotic damage, as it just like rips through your nervous system and like floods you. And in that moment, you know it is not the whistling entity. It's nothing. Nothing at all. Is that your turn?
Yes, that's going to be my turn.
Okay. Yep. Now we go to Yuki.
Okay. So I think Yuki is going to run up to the tooth, and first, I think she wants to do lay on hands, just to see if it'll help soothe the pain. Not necessarily to like be able to heal fully, but just to be able to soothe some of the pain.
Make a medicine check.
Uh, 18 on the die
Okay.
plus 4, so 22.
All right. 22. Yeah, as you rush forward past where I think Tadana is reeling, you see whatever magic they were weaving, like snap, like tendons being cut with hedge trimmers, and you rush up to the tooth, and where do you touch his thrashing, suffering body?
As close to the corruption as possible without actually touching the corruption.
So the tooth is quite tall, maybe 12 feet tall, and it's like sort of like a big stag almost. So how are you reaching up to try to touch like their throat or their face where the corruption is brimming down from? It seems to be stemming from their tooth.
Probably from the front, but in a way that I'm trying to make sure I don't get trampled by the
By the
legs.
hooves, like the 6 different
The
like
claw
legs,
or the foot or the
fists. Yeah. So I think by the front, where their tufts of golden fur are becoming interlaced with black veins, you thrust your hands forward, and you like sink your fingers into their like thick hide and fur, and you shoot, and you like this divine soothing energy through them, and it like emanates out of you. So tell me, what emotion or what like message are you trying to convey them to calm them down, to help them through their hurt?
Can I combine calm emotions with this then?
Yeah, go for it. You absolutely can. How do you activate it? Like, what do you say? How are you doing it?
Your words brought me to think that maybe we do need more hope. If you can do that for me, who thought I lost everything and lost all my hope, I think I can do this for you. And I think that'll make the world a better place.
As you continue to hold on to them, Yuki, I will let what you're trying to do begin to work, but you are also going to like get hit back, as they're not on purpose. They're trying not to hit you, but this thing is causing them to thrash out. All right. So you are going to take 34 points of bludgeoning damage from these like middle hooves that, despite like you trying to like position yourself away, they like thrash out. They've got like a reach. They're huge. They're a big one. And it just bam, bam. It like pummels you twice, like really hard in the ribs. And I think you feel and hear something crack inside you, but you sustain that magic. You keep that calm emotions flowing through your palms into their fur, trying to like beat back this corruption. And despite everything, you see it beginning to work. You see these black veins that were leaching down its neck pause where your hands are and begin to like reverse, almost like someone's turning a clock back as they like seep back up their neck, but it's not quite done yet. But if you keep holding them there and working your magic, it might just happen. And I think you feel the tooth's fear and rage and terror and gratitude flow into you from that point of contact, even as your sternum cracks and winces and braces against the force of their kicks. Is that your turn?
I think so.
Lovely. Let's see. You hear, at the end of your turn, you hear the tooth's voice resonating in your head, much like Tadana had, like it's wrestling with itself. But the tooth says to you, Yuki, none of us expected this cataclysm, this vanishing, this apocalypse. None of us wanted it. None of us asked for this. Past that interminable darkness of the cataclysm, in the beyond that the now can't reach, I am certain that the 8 that looks over us all, they are terrified as well. I'm sure they're still there, and I'm sure they are sorrowful. Thank you for believing I can still be saved. And child, I am sorry for the pain that helping me causes. I do not intend it.
I know. But the pain reminds us we're all alive. And I'm gonna keep you here as long as I can.
And that comes out like physically exploding out of the tooth's throat. And now we cut back onto the bridge to find Mauka.
Malka is going to walk toward Tooth. And in midst of their stride, shadow like the fog of dry ice falls on them from their shoulders, from their hair, flowing, solidifying on their hands as spectral claws. The emissary is in pain. Let us ease their burden and take what their gift to open the door to a better world. I am tired of waiting for gods that will not return. You, Yuki, you know what it's like to have that power. You are using that power, but how much of it is left from beings that do not deserve our reverence? Take your own fate in your own hands. Take this power, or we all die. And Malka will, coming from their hand, their shadowed, clawed hands, needles of shadow will hiss toward Tooth.
Okay, is that an attack?
Yes.
Okay, what are you doing?
I am in that shadow thing is their form of dread. So yeah, they're covered in shadow. They look gaunt also. Like a little whatever color is started to drain from them.
Yeah.
And they're shooting an Eldritch Blast at
Okay.
this.
I think as your form of dread covers you, these like long shadowy claws coming out, you becoming like kind of gaunt. We also see, all of you see in the dying light of the day turning into tenebrous evening, a shadow extend out past Malka's back on the tongue-soaked soil of the north bank, a long, tall shadow that seems even thinner, even greater than Malka herself. And there's a hat, a wide-brimmed hat that this shadow is wearing that Malka definitely is not. And the shadow seems like so much bigger than the form it's casting from, with long, like sharp talon-like claws as well. And those of you who gaze upon it know instinctively, this is the emissary that's attached itself to the back of Malka's soul. So what'd you get on your Eldritch Blast?
All right. First one is a 16.
Okay. So how I deal with misses, because that would be a miss, is you can roll damage anyway if I get to hit you back.
That is 11 force damage. And that, 11 force damage.
Okay. What happens as what does it look like?
It's just like they kind of extend, like they don't necessarily like split off, but they become so like they launch into Tooth. You can see like thread like shadows coming from it.
Yeah, it hits the Tooth's flank, and Yuki, you're still there holding on to like the tufts of fur at the front of the Tooth's throat, and you feel this beast, this emissary that's large, stagger backward from the force of that blast. And as it does, I think your connection stutters for a second, and you see the veins like drip past your hands immediately, like metastasizing, and then you like reconnect, and the veins stop again. But like that has shaken the Tooth, and is causing the corruption to grow even more, and the Tooth lets out a and like thrashes and turns and tosses its head, and you hear your patron's voice in your head, Malka, say, yes, just a little bit more. Then we can eat its soul for ourselves and craft the world that the gods have left behind. Let me guide your hand. Do you let your patron help you make a second attack?
Oh, I have a second attack. Yes, absolutely.
Do you want it to be empowered?
Yes, of course. Why not?
Okay. So it's gonna come at a cost, I think, as you are aware that all of your patrons' bargains to give you more power do. There's always some kind of catch, but your patron always promises you, well, Malka,
It's only fair. You bring me power, and I give it to you. Refine it into magic you can wield. If I empower you, then my vessel, it is only fair. I have my own share of you as well. I will give you power, child. Enough power to kill this emissary even, perhaps. All you must do in this moment is pledge to me your immortal soul.
What I saw that day was nothing. Pledging a soul against nothing is no choice at all. Yes.
Wait! Flapping down, fluttering, like a terrified, bulbous, crimson bumblebee is Shushu. As you agree to pledge your soul to your patron, you hear this voice cut in between your deal, and right up next to you at eye level is Shushu, and they're saying, wait, Mocha, wait, you're my friend, right? I'm your friend? We spread joy? I think this shadow on your soul isn't joy. It might be promising you some things, and I think you have a good heart, Mocha. I think you want what all of us want, which is a better Andake. An Andake where we don't have to rely on the gods so much for everything. But I can see what this is doing to you, Mocha. Your soul, the thing that I sensed that was amiss, it's so beautiful, Mocha. You're so beautiful, and your soul is worth something. Your soul is worth so much more than just nothing, and please, I would miss it if it left. So please, Mocha, don't do it.
You know what? You're right. You too have a beautiful soul. I would like to be with you for eternity. I'm gonna vampiric touch this little thing.
Oh my god!
You monster!
I don't want this. Malka wants this.
Okay. Is that an attack roll? You were muted, but I see the captions that say 23.
23.
That would hit. So this is your second attack that your patron is channeling so much juice into, I think. So what is max damage for Empiric Touch?
Oh god. 24 points of damage.
I would like to use my reaction.
Go on.
Activate Aura of Guardian and take that.
Okay.
I'm down.
Okay. So, Malka, what does Vampiric Touch look like as you place your hands, presumably, upon Shushu?
Yeah. It looks like claws going into, just like right into, palm on, and just siphoning brilliant light from it into Malka.
As your claws sink into Shushu, just cutting through their soft, crimson skin, like it's nothing, like it's just butter. Shushu lets out a horrific, pathetic, pained little gasp. And then Yuki, what does your aura of protection look like?
First, I look up to the emissary. I'm sorry. I have to do this. And the Art of Protection looks like being a paladin of Sen. It's the fox going after the rabbit.
Oh my god, I fucking love that. I'm sorry. I'm crying. Yeah. Like a ghostly magical fox going after like a ghostly magical rabbit, right? It shoots out from where you lower your hands, and it like the fox and the rabbit rush around, like up into the air, and they swirl around Shushu. And Shushu lets out a huh? And Yuki, you feel Malka's claws pierce you. You're down, right?
I'm down.
You take a knee in the shadow of the emissary. Malka, you hear your emissary's voice in your head just go, "Don't waste your time on these useless whelps. Our grand prize is there for the taking. What's a couple of souls lost for the greater good?" And now we go to Gentle.
Oh my god. First things first. Root is still here, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I think
Yes,
the
he
first thing
is.
I do is I ask if Root can do something for me. Can you're a druid, right? Can you like make
Yes.
can you make like vines or something?
Absolutely, Gentle. I can't believe
Grab
we
Malka.
have to put a stop to this.
Yes. Grab Malka. I'm gonna get everyone else up, and maybe I can try something to stop the corruption.
Understood, Gentle. If anyone can do this, it's you.
Thank
And
you.
Root takes your hands in his, and you feel like vines, warm vines, thorned on the outside, begin to wrap around your hands, right?
Perfect. I think the first thing I'm going to do is how far away is everybody in terms of just I know how fast I can move, but
Like
can I
30
just
feet
zip,
tops.
zap?
Yeah.
Okay,
Tops. More like 15. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's enough speed for me to move to each downed person and offer a healing hand.
Okay.
I have 45 movement speed currently without dashing or anything. I'm a monk. Don't forget this.
Okay. So who are you healing? Is it going to be Yuki and Tadana?
Yes.
Okay.
I think as you are, I know as Tadana is close to low health, it's once again Gentle offering a very kind hand. And for Yuki, I think it's more of as you are fading in and out. There's this warm orange glow that you can feel sort of on your shoulder. And it's not a lot. Let me see how much it's going to be, but it's something. It's going to be 6 points of healing to you each.
That's good. I think that brings Yuki up from being like down and needing to make death saves, right? Okay. Good. Yeah, as Gentle touches each of you, like rushing back and forth, winged sandals flapping, both of you feel just like your wounds, that necrotic, that force damage, those vampiric claws, like all of those wounds begin to seal up just a little bit, enough to just breathe a little bit more life back into your lungs.
If I can do another thing, it's still an extension. Perfect. I think I'm going to head to the spot of corruption on the tooth.
Okay.
And one of the other things my healing hands can do, it's called Physician's Touch, where it can also help nullify pretty much every condition. So blind, deaf, and paralyzed, poisoned, or stunned. So I'm just going to do that.
Okay. Yeah, as you extend your hands forward and like cup the tooth's corrupted, black-veined, oblong equine face in your palms, this like glow of gentle, right? Your signature healing magic, I think, washes over the tooth, and you feel your own magic intermingle with Yuki's, right? That's still there. There's still Yuki's presence, Yuki's soul, Yuki's fervor and bravery and courage in there. And together, I think, you're able to leech the black veins back up from its neck, back, all the way up to its jaw and into that tooth. And you contain it, right? Like a snake's venom working back upward through the jar in reverse into that canine. So it's just that blackened tooth now.
While I'm floating, because I think I'm floating to do this, I look back at Malka. You understand that what you're doing is hurting a lot of people. And I know this is still your way of trying to help, but look around for a second. The emissary talking to you is going to use you until there's nothing left. Please don't do this. You can get out of here, find peace, but this isn't going to be good, and this won't make you feel better, and it won't make Andake safer.
But this is our only chance.
I've heard that so many times from so many people, and it never was.
Root, it's his turn now, steps forward off of the bridge. Emissaries by now have been fleeing. They've been getting the fuck out of here. Like, they've been like exploding away from the fight as soon as shit popped off, right? They were like, oh, whoop, they're gone. The only other emissaries that are remaining are several on the other bank, and the tongue, the tooth sister. There's a splash as she dives into like the raging waters of the black tongue and starts to cut her way like a water snake through the surf to her brother who's in peril. And Root steps off the bridge and looks at you, Malka. Malka, my friend from the court, how could I forget you? Of course, I've always remembered you. I just almost didn't recognize you, given the darkness that's latched onto your soul, that is clouding that beautiful, radiant promise of yours that was always so clear before all of this happened, before the stars vanished and the gods with them too. Malka, this can be who you are if you choose to let it. But you can choose something else too. Gentle's right. That emissary that's attached itself to you, it doesn't care about you. It will use you until there's nothing left, and it will justify its decisions to you every step of the way. As a priest of the Raven Queen, as someone who has sworn to defend my home from threats mortal and extraordinary, I consider you my home too, Malka, even if you don't claim the court as your house anymore. Please, let us help you.
Then
And Root,
tell me one thing.
anything.
How is the Raven Queen any different? I spent my life in her service, and when it was nothing except death. Worse than death, nothing.
You know, I asked myself the exact same question until the paragon of the Raven Queen arrived on Black Spire's doorstep and showed me that the gods are still here in their own way. They're broken. They're shards of themselves severed during Adolin when this nothingness blanketed the now. There are god shards still on Andake, united within their paragons, seeking for a way to restore balance to our world. There is still hope, Malka. and I felt the Raven Queen's presence herself. 1,000 singing voices of 1,000 divine birds, the fluttering of wings, the smell of grave dirt, and Malka, it was so much more terrible and so much more beautiful than anything I ever could have imagined. They're scared too. The God Shards. And I'm sure the rest of them in the beyond, wherever it might be, beyond this emptiness, I'm sure they're terrified as well. I'm sure they didn't ask for this. I'm sure they're trying their hardest to restore Andake back to the way she used to be. But they've never turned their back on us. Willingly. And we can all make our own choices, Mocha. But I don't want to turn my back on her either. I want to help her. Just like I want to help you.
And I think there's just a hint of like sadness. It's like, I don't want to be nothing.
You're not, Malka. No, you're not. None of us are with each other. And Vroot gestures toward the rest of you, toward Tadana, toward Yuki. Above the table, we're out of initiative. So you can hop into the scene whenever you want to be. Back at the table.
You're not nothing. You never were nothing. You're something because you're here.
No.
And not just here, but here in Andake.
No, not that way. They brought me back. If I don't do this, nothing.
Shushu, who has fluttered over to Yuki and has landed for once, but their wings still flutter, has been nuzzling Yuki this whole time, like trying to check to make sure that Z is okay. And Yuki, I think after Gentle has like restored a bit of health to you and like you gasp awake a little bit and you're like a bit more conscious. They kind of let out a breath of relief.
I'll be right back, Yuki. Thank you so much for saving me.
What'd I do?
You're a hero.
And Shushu lifts up off the ground like a big crimson bumblebee and turns and addresses you, Malka, and says,
Malka, my friend, there are so many emissaries here. We could help you. If you don't want to be under its control anymore, maybe I could help you. Maybe the tooth could now that Gentle's helped him. Maybe the tongue, even. Maybe we could all join together and help you.
So after Shoes enters the arena of sorts.
Shushu has entered the arena with a steel chair.
Tadana regards them. And so I guess after that nothingness, right, they're brought back to the scene. Because in that nothingness, for the first time since that cataclysm, they felt that love and compassion radiating within them, almost as if it was answering to the warmth that Gentle was offering. They feel Gentle's warmth, and then they remember them saying that they were their friend. And beyond that, they feel the calm reassurance of Root and Gentle's blooming relationship. They feel Yuki's hope and dedication to everyone here. They feel They even feel Malka's desperation for something better. And they see themselves reflected in Malka. They understand the call of the whispering entity. They're very familiar with that pull and that drag, and they've been around Malka enough times to understand their influence and her desperation, that same desperation that's just as a result of, it's a reminder of that, of the fact that Tadana's life ended with the cataclysm. And they wonder briefly, why did the gods abandon us? But they feel the collective hope of everyone here, even this whispering voice and this entity. Because what would this whispering entity be without the yearning to find a connection within Malka? Even this whispering entity has some sort of hope for something. Even the darkness yearns for the light, following behind everything it's cast against. And in this echoing of hope, Tadana finds themselves and feels the connection not only to themselves, but to everyone here. And that corruption within them starts to repair as they feel everyone here connected in this moment for Malka. And they say, Malka, for as many times as your influence has harmed me, and for as many times as I have succumbed to the bidding of those who seek to harm others, and for that to have been my direction in life, I know that deep down, that's not what you want. You don't want to hurt people. You want to follow the hope that you will find yourself again. And I know this because you and I are the same. Malka, we both hurt. And we are both devastated after the cataclysm. But I want you to know that I will be here for you. If you want to follow the hope inside you.
She looks around and finally, I think, just takes a good look of what is going around her. Looks at Tadana and it's been so long. So much. Alone. Just wanted to make things better.
No. No. No, servant, you will do as I command you. If I say burn, you say to ashes. If I say rage, you say against the light. If I say succumb, you say how deep. No. No, what is this? What is this pathetic light you think you can grasp with claws I you turn your back on me, and you will lose all of this power, all of this darkness that makes you strong.
She'll look around. She'll look to Yuki, to Juju, to Gentle, and Tadana, and then look back at Auntie and say, if I don't measure up, then what?
What? You want me to lie to your face and say I will forgive weakness? I chose you because I knew you could be a strong vessel. Mocha, if you don't measure up, then I have no use for you. You need me. I don't need you. Disabuse yourself of these petty mortal fantasies that this is a symbiotic relationship. You are my parasite, and I am your patron.
I think Tadana reaches out in the same way Gentle reached out to her. They remember that action and they hope it works. And they say, Malka, take my hand. You don't have to feel like this anymore. You have a choice too.
I'm so sorry. And she will just like reach, like kind of grab that as hard as she can.
And I think Tadana, if it's all right, will pull them into that embrace that was in the vision. Except this time, it's not at all gross or corrupt. It's not eating away. It's not a codependent need for this negative feedback loop that they've been feeding each other for years. It's warmth and compassion and love and radiance. And they pull Malka close.
And both of you in that embrace hear a whistle from so far away grow louder and louder and louder and then stop. As Mocha, you feel your patron's tendrils unlatch themselves from your soul and they say, so be it. Latch onto your pathetic light. See how far it gets you. And they are gone with a final ear-splitting rattle of that whistle. Boom. Gone. And Mocha, you are an undead warlock and your patron has abandoned you. Your patron who brought you back from death. So I think as soon as they leave, you drop to 0 and you collapse in Tadana's arms. Yuki, I want to know what...
Sorry.
Y'all can just go back and forth forever, but I gotta bring up our paladin who is on one knee here.
Yeah. No, this is good. I love this. This is great. Of course.
Yuki, you have witnessed all of this, like you witnessed this exchange on the bridge, and you feel the corruption of the emissary that's like hunkered above you, beginning to lessen and become contained, and then you also feel like a life snap and gasp as Malka drops to 0 as that dark presence leaves her. What do you do?
What do I do? I think this might be time to use my channel divinity. And I'll use the Emissary of Peace version to give myself extra charisma. And then I think I'm going to address all the emissaries, even the ones that have run. Tell them all to come back and tell them what happened.
Can I do something to help add to that?
Absolutely.
Similar to the thing I did in Dabathate when talking to everybody, where I used the key point to empower my speech. I will do the exact same thing. Sort of, if this is okay, like a very like friendly, like pat on the shoulder of like you can do this.
That absolutely happens. This pat on the shoulder, Yuki, feels like an emboldening, invigorating adrenaline. And what is the speech that you say out loud to compel these emissaries to come back? Like what? Give us a little taste right here of Yuki's charisma.
Emissaries, return. I stand here on this bridge as a mortal. Not as one of you, not as one of any of the emissaries, but here as a mortal. And you know what I just saw? I just saw how love and compassion for one another can change the world. And this is among mortals. As emissaries, you're so much more powerful than any of us individually. Imagine for a moment how strong and powerful can all be if we work together. If we allow our differences to give us strength instead of divide us. I know it may not be in your nature. I know that preserving oneself is, well, the root of all nature is to preserve your own life. But I think this proves that in order for Andake, in order for there to be a future, we must side with the light and compassion of the tooth.
One by one, the emissaries return, folding back into existence from pocket dimensions they'd squirreled themselves away into, rising up out of the dirt in mounds of grave earth, poking their heads out of the turbulent surf of the black tongue, opening their eyes on the whorls of the wooden bridge they'd folded themselves into. The emissaries come back. We see them now. Sitheno, the Medusa, Athedon, the Sphinx, all these little floating motes and moths and bestial, aberration-like, undead constructs, slimes, oozes, fae, elementals, celestials, devils, demons, all of them, they return. And upon that return, the tongue finally reaches the northern shore. She slicks herself onto the banks, her dark feathered fur and bat-like wing dripping with salt-washed water, and she wraps herself around her brother at the end of your speech. And there is a bright light, like Altanger's own radiance, dark and shining, like starlight dappling the white-capped tops of waves during a dark ocean night. And when the light dies down, we see brother and sister, sibling and sibling, friend and friend united as one into a bicorn. We see the tooth's long black tooth, the last bit of that corruption, I think sloughing off, dribbling onto the ground and hissing into nothingness. We see that long bat-like leathery wing fold out on the same side, tufts of golden curly fur intermingling with black feathers, and a face that is split down the middle, half equine and tiger-like, and half feline and panther-like, with human eyes on one side of their face and coal bright eyes on the other. and the tooth and the tongue sit back down on their haunches, pull their 6 limbs into their body, and incline their head in your direction, Yuki. And all these other emissaries of both the north and the southern shores, they turn and they incline their heads toward you. And one by one, I think we see emissaries coming up to Tadana, coming up to Mauka, and bowing their heads and kissing the top of Mauka's head, imbuing Mauka with a little bit of the magic they have left to try to bring you back from the brink of a second death. Mauka, tell me, which of these emissaries speaks to you the most?
Juju, I think. Juju. Oh, poor
Shushu?
sweet potato. Yeah.
Shushu is the last in this line of emissaries. Good and evil, neutral and chaotic, lawful and everything in between and beyond the constraints of this kind of 9-squared morality. All of these emissaries of all kinds line up to you, bless you. And then it's Shushu. Tadana, you have Malka cradled against your body. You see this plump, crimson potato-like emissary float forward, and though they don't have a face, we can see them quivering with sorrow. They lower their head to Malka, and they bump it against their chest. And Malka, you feel glitter explode through the inside of your soul as your lungs gasp with life once more, your eyes fly open, and you become not an undead warlock, but a warlock of Shushu.
Oh.
So I think on the banks of green open water, we see the tooth and the tongue sort of turn and sort of lumber over with these like big, strong hoof and footsteps and claw marks. And their voices are like overlaid with each other. There's the tongue's low rasping as like a tongue does droop out of their mismatched jaw and like sort of move and wave along with their speech. And there's also the higher pitched earnestness of the tooth smashed together. And together the tongue and the tooth say, "Not since our inception have we been reunited like this once more. The great debate is closed. The matter is settled. And through unity, love, and compassion, as Yuki says, that is our way forward." And I want each of you to tell me what is the final image we leave off of this session with each of you, starting with Yuki.
You see Yuki surveying all of this, packing up their things with a smile, getting ready to move forward. And you know, their idea of I can still do what I need to do. I can watch and protect. I don't need to fight. And they found their hope again.
Yes. I think like surrounded by these new people you've met, new and old, surrounded by all these emissaries, by this sense of brimming hope in your chest. Like that's where we leave off with you, Yuki. And then we pan over to Tadana.
So, I guess Tadana lets go of Malka and is now standing, beholding Malka's new glittery form and she's taken aback. But what she sees is just beautiful. It's radiant. It's what he could tell was sort of within Malka all this time, but was just so out of reach. But now they see it here in full bloom, and they smile, and they look around at everybody else and feel that connection within themselves, reach out to everyone, as their eyes are still covered, yes, but now as I guess their cloak of eyes looks around, they feel the collective energy of everyone here at are they on the bridge still? Right? Or okay, they're on the bridge.
I feel like you all are like, you can be wherever you want to be. Just ignore me. Take that from the top.
Okay. All right. Well, they're on the bridge now. So and then they feel they just feel the balance of things just fall into place out here with the emissaries and here within themselves, and it feels right, and they feel whole again, and they feel hope for the future.
On you, brimming with hope, surrounded by emissaries upon this bridge, we pan down your form to find Malka.
Malka has usually just kind of like cradled in her arms, and she's like, so sorry, and she's like crying, and like, but they're not like incredibly sad. I think looks to everyone with eyes that are like, she is made steps to be free of the rage and despair that was fueling her, and through kind of like tear-streamed eyes, she'll look at everyone and say, thank you.
And I think on Shushu nuzzling you, right, the two of you, glittering a little bit, surrounded by Tadana, by Yuki, by all these emissaries, we now pan up to find Gentle.
I think Gentle's on the bridge as well. I think leaning their back against it a little, leaning into Root slightly. And they look at everybody and say, I'm really glad I got to meet you all. If you ever need anything, I don't really have an address, but I can give you these, and they're unfortunately like Hounds of Mercy business cards. If you ask for me, no one asked for me, so it won't be hard. But I'm glad I met all of you. Please just continue to help build bridges. And I think Gentle just sort of leans against Root, and like, I've learned a little bit in Raven speech, and you know, the whole knowing a bunch of languages thing. So I think I just whisper in Raven speech, I'd really love to get some tea after all this.
Yeah, and Root leans back into you and whispers back in Morosi, so would I. And then he continues in Raven speech to you, Gentle, you are a fantastic leader, an incomparable friend, and someone I'm very proud to know. Have you ever thought about, well, your own group?
Not really, no.
Well, I know you do love Bud dearly. Maybe, I don't know, I feel like there's something there, Gentle, something you should pursue. Your own family, on your own terms, in a way that isn't defined by Mercy or anyone else, but by you, just like how you showed everyone here.
That sounds really, really nice, actually.
Think about it. And, I don't think anyone's looking at us right now. Do you mind if I kiss you?
Not at all.
And Duke Root Sweet Breeze leans in and kisses you, Gentle. And on that, we are ending our session for our Cosmic Convergence. So thank you everyone so much for tuning into this extremely gay episode of Shoot Your One Shot. I have been your GM and creative producer, Cuddy. I love my emissaries. You can find me all across the internet at by Connie Chang, BYCONNICHANG. I'm going to pass along introductions up and over to Dare.
Hi, I'm Dare, pronouns she, they, they. It's so weird doing one of these live. Thank you all for being here. Of course, make sure you drink water after this. Make sure you're drinking water. Stay hydrated. Anyway, you can find me on all parts of the internet over at Dare to Dream RPG. That is DARE, the number 2, DREAM RPG. I was really afraid I wouldn't be able to spell that for some reason. Anyway, yeah, I'm just a queer disaster on the internet. I write stuff, I edit stuff. I voice act now on occasion. Find me on any part, just use that name. And I'm just gonna throw it over to Lynn.
Oh boy, this was a hell of a session. I just wild. Thank you so much. This was so much fun to play with you all on this, and my little dark little heart. It's just Bye. Yeah, I'm Lynn, Gremlin art, pretty much everywhere, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. You can find my art there, and games I'm playing including I get to play Godlings, Glamour Bards, and X-Wing pilots. So like on my gaming, and it's going to be a lot of art coming in next October and September. We're real busy, so I'm looking for things coming out. Some very cool things.
Heck yeah, let's pan over to Akemi.
Hi, I'm Akemi. Let's see. Pronouns she, they. You can find me anywhere I exist on the internet at Ninja Penguin AM. I make games, I play games, I do stuff. Let's see, Monday nights, you can find me over at Friends Who Roll Dice is Mind the Martyr. Wednesday, I think, is Neon Roleplay. I get to be a mech pilot. I also make games. I have a game about a lost sock. So yeah, I'll find those at Ninja Penguin AM at Alvaro Riccio. I guess let's pass it off to Alyan.
Hey, I'm Amihan, he, they pronouns. You can find me at the Rose Cleric on Twitter or anywhere on the internet, or if you would prefer just to see my art, because I am an artist and also a TTRPG enjoyer and many things, you can go to Rose Cleric Art on Twitter to see my stuff there. I'm also gonna plug my most recent project, Capricious Provenance. It is a podcast I have been working on of the home game I share with actually a couple of people in the chat, one of which gave me a very generous inspiration. But yes, it is a D&D 5e podcast that was originally a home game, but now we're sharing it with the world, and it's all trans, all queer, and BIPOC centered. It's about didn't come up with this. It's about 4 friends coming together in the middle of an apocalyptic conspiracy and finding love and hope within each other. Very similar to this session, actually. So if you like what happened here, you'll probably find more of it in Capricious Provenance, except it's more, there's more war in there and violence and political intrigue. So yes, I think that's it for me. I'm going to toss it back to Connie.
Fantastic. Please follow all of these incredible folks on social media. Toss them some coin. Thank you to everyone who donated. We are $70 away from our 420 goal, which we're hoping to hit before Thursday's episode. Speaking of which, I have some quick little introduction announcements before we go on to a raid. So tune in on Thursday, October 20th, same time, same place, 7:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, right here on Twitch at Transplanar RPG for Stars Over Blackspire, which features Citlali's backstory in the Court of Ravens. If you liked court drama here, you'll love court drama there too on Thursday, because I promise you it's going to be an unhinged, terrible group as well. I mean that affectionately. I have been Connie, as always. We're going to be raiding someone really awesome right now, no doubt, so use the raid message in chat. Pleasantly Twisted, Anti-PT. We're going to head over, use the raid, tell them Transplanar sent you. I love it when people use the raid message in chat. And We love you all so much. Have a great evening. Tune in Thursday for the next Shoot Your One Shot, and this Saturday for the debut of the Chasm group of The Second Stranger, our main campaign that Shoot Your One Shot is a spin-off of. So see you then at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time, and see you Thursday at 7:30 p.m. US Eastern Time. And Bijo, Peace.